it is the most anticipated boxing match of the year. It goes down this weekend. It's Jake Paul against Ben Askren. And I'll tell you what, right? The reason why I paused a minute ago, by the way, my name is Rahul J. Chan. This is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. The reason why I paused is because I thought to myself, actually, I was saying that in jest. I was trying to take the piss. I was trying to take the mickey by calling this the most anticipated boxing match of the year. But it might well be. It genuinely might be the most anticipated fight or boxing match fight that's happening this year so far. And that's crazy. That's crazy to me. But it might be a fact, right? Now, I haven't really spoken much about this fight leading up to it. And I didn't really intend to make this video. But the reason why I'm making this is I saw the odds for the fight. And I was just shocked at how much of an underdog Ben Askren is. And it adds to all of the stuff that I've seen people say in the lead up to the fight. Jake Paul, he's legit. He's got good fundamental boxing. Jake Paul carries power. Jake Paul has power. Jake Paul used to wrestle in high school. He's an athlete. I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, all right, how good does that make him? Because he's had 2 professional fights against an ex-American footballer or basketballer, whatever that guy was, and a YouTuber. And he's fighting Ben Askren, who has had 21 professional MMA fights. And not only that, he's had countless high stakes wrestling matches. Wrestling matches that can alter your career, your future, the trajectory of how your life goes. Like, they've been big deals. He's experienced that from a young age. He's grown experiencing sport at a very high competitive level. And I'm just shocked that people are just writing Ben Askren off. Like, nobody seems to be taking into account the experience that Ben Askren has. And going back to Jake Paul, like, I saw him fight Deji, KSI's brother, a couple of years ago, and that's not on his record because it was an amateur fight. They had headgear on. But in that fight, Deji was at least 2 weight classes below Jake Paul. The size difference was crazy. And Jake Paul was struggling in moments of that fight. Like, he was gassing out. And Deji was giving him trouble with his work rate. And it's weird me sat here saying this, but it's a fact. Like, Jake Paul did win that fight, but it got a bit hairy for him for a while in that fight. There's one thing that Joe Rogan and a few other commentators talk about a lot when it comes to mixed martial arts, and they talk about the octagon jitters. When a fighter is fighting on the regional circuit or a fighter is fighting in another organization, they finally make it to the UFC, the big leagues, and they're fighting under those bright lights. They see all the cameras, they see the crowd, and they have this energy dump. They can't control their energy levels throughout the fight. Like, they might have easily fought for 3 rounds for 15 minutes in other organizations, but they come to the UFC and something happens, something comes over them because of just the scale of the event, that they can't control that energy that they have. And I fully understand and appreciate that this is a boxing match. It's not a mixed martial arts fight. But I don't know whether I believe that Jake Paul has the experience to be able to control his energy levels for the scheduled 8 rounds of this fight. And I feel like Ben Askren does. And I feel like Ben Askren has the experience to make this a fight that is winnable for him, even though his skills wouldn't necessarily match up from a fundamental standpoint with Jake Paul. Does that make sense? I feel like Ben Askren's experience in fights, in combat sport events, will carry him through. And I feel like Ben Askren will win this fight on points. And I say this all the time. You're never as good as they say you are, and you're never as bad as they say you are. And this is a perfect example of this, because I don't feel like Ben Askren is as bad as he's being made out to be, because all people are looking at are his boxing skills, and not the fact that this is a fight at the end of the day. And he's done this for literally years. He's got the experience to help him through this whole fight. And Jake Paul hasn't. And they're just focusing on Jake Paul knocking out an American football player, or whatever the guy was. And they're not focusing on the fact that, hold on a minute, he's had two professional fights against people that aren't professional fighters. It just the maths doesn't add up for me. So I will definitely be putting a score on Ben Askren to win this fight on points. And I appreciate that my opinion isn't the conventional opinion, and I haven't really heard anyone express what I've just said. And I feel like a lot of, like, just looking at the odds, like, it just seems like everyone believes that Jake Paul's going to win this fight. So if I'm wrong, I'll have to eat humble pie. But I genuinely do believe Ben Askren wins this fight. And it's this event itself, right? It's a weird mishmash of fighters, because I'm just looking at the card, and this is the first time I've seen it, right? And Regis Prograis is fighting on this card. And Regis Prograis is an elite fighter for his weight class. Like, I saw him fight live back in 2019. I'm just looking at his Wikipedia page. So this was part of the World Boxing Super Series, and he fought a guy called Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor and Prograis put on potentially the fight of the year. It was an amazing event, and I just find it weird that, like, you've got an actual legit boxer fighting on the undercard, co-main eventing with Jake Paul and Ben Askren. But I find it weird, but I get it. I understand what's going on and why it's happening, but it's just funny to see, man. And then you got, like, on the actual card itself, you got Steve Cunningham, an ex-opponent of Tyson Fury, knocked Tyson Fury down, actually, when Tyson Fury made his debut in the States. And he's fighting Frank Mir. And I know Frank Mir was supposed to be fighting Antonio Tarver on this event, and I don't think Tarver got cleared to fight. For whatever reason, I don't know. I haven't really been following it that much, and I shouldn't really be talking about it that much, because it's not really something that I know a lot about. But I know Frank Mir and I know Steve Cunningham, and they're boxing each other. Do you know what I mean? It's just, honestly, it's just a weird time in the sport of boxing. But yeah, that's my take on the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight. Let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button if you've enjoyed this video. Share it with a friend if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.